okay for today. Are the women with us now? All right, so you can shoot, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. The topic for our session was, the session will explore the importance of forming a global civil society action or network to act as a counter force to a shrinking civil space and rising autocratic. Truly is shrinking across the world. And even in the oldest democracies, like in the US, we see what's going on in the US. The civic space has actually shrunk. Even posting things on social media can actually be a problem. So we have realized that the civic space has deliberately shrunk. And the way forward is to, one, understand the commonality of our humanity. Across the world, all human beings are the same. Whether it's Europe, across racial divides, whether it's black, white, Christian, Muslim, pagans, we have common essence of our humanity. Once you identify that, the next step is to, when you want to form a coalition, you should have basics benchmarks. That is, you must have basics, things that you say this is the minimum standards. And those benchmarks could be either in terms of no killings, or there must simply be benchmarks. Let me give an example that brought us to this benchmark issue. So recently, the issue of genocide became a problem. How to even define it. Some people clearly said that there was genocide going on in Gaza, but others felt that there was no such genocide going on. And Trump, for instance, says there is genocide going on in South Africa. So we must have minimum benchmarks. It's when you have those minimum benchmarks that you can now be able to make some progress. When you have that minimum benchmarks, you now enter into dialogue. The dialogue will be across racial and religious divides. Now, look at the steps we are taking. You have identified that there is a commonality of humanity. You have also picked out the minimum benchmarks. Then you engage in dialogue. Dialogue is so that if there are any gray areas amongst, whether it's racial groups or religious groups, you are able to iron it out. And then finally, you must engage in advocacy. You must engage in advocacy. I will give an example of where the reality of practicality of these things I've just mentioned. In addressing the issue of drugs, if, for instance, you want to address the issue of drug abuse, you realize, okay, let us have a minimum benchmark. They need to protect children because drug is a global problem. The minimum benchmark is the need to protect children. You enter into dialogue, and then you realize that, okay, how do we do to protect children is to ensure that they don't even have access to drugs in any manner whatsoever. And then you now have to do advocacy. Advocacy is you coalesce, you come together, and talk about the issue. And there is need for this advocacy to be done at the global level, being that the civic space is shrinking in every country, not just in third world countries, even in Europe and in America. Yes, the civic space is shrinking. Nowadays in the UK, there are some tweets you can make, you'll be arrested. Even liking social media platforms, you will be arrested. So the civic space is shrinking across the world. So there is need for advocacy, global advocacy networks to be built, such that when there's a problem in Nigeria, for instance, the advocates across the world can rally around and support the Nigerian activists. And when there's a problem also in the US, advocates can also rally around across the world and support the issues. So I will repeat the key words again. There is commonality of our humanity. There is commonality of our humanity. There is need to have minimum benchmarks. There is need for dialogue and need for advocacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eze Eluchi. Okay, can we have Mazi Godson Azu on how to upgrade indigenous knowledge in policy making? Thank you. Please, let's keep it short, please.
Thank you very much. Our group looked at how to upgrade indigenous language in policy making. I'm sure many of us take our languages for granted, and we are not very used to understand the importance of our dialects and how that helps to build greater communications, even within our community and our extended environment. But what we're saying here is how to improve if it exists. We try to find out within our group, do we have the use of indigenous language for now in driving policy making anywhere in Nigeria? And we're able to have this little understanding from the major 3 regions and 3 major Nigerian languages. It's only the Northerns, or the Northerners, the Hausas, who are more common in addressing most of their issues using the common indigenous language in the North, which is Hausa, in discussing. And so what we said in our summary, it's important that we recognize our indigenous languages amongst ourselves as an identity of our person. 2, we encouraged the learning of the 3 major languages if we are going to actually improve the use of indigenous language in policy making. Because Nigeria as a country has about 365 or 560 something different ethnic languages, it will be difficult to use all ethnic languages or all indigenous languages in addressing policy making in Nigeria. So it's to narrow it down to the key major ones that almost everyone within those particular regions speaks it. 1, Igbo in the entire southeast or eastern region. 1, Yoruba in the entire southwest or the western region, and the Hausa in the entire north. So if we can encourage parents to begin to teach more to their children on how to speak and encourage their children to be more familiar with those key languages and order cross-learning of the languages, so you can know how to speak Hausa, know how to speak Yoruba, know how to speak Igbo. I know there was a case of recent where the Minister of Education, according to one of our group member, was saying that it is not compulsory for you to learn the language of the indigenous people where you are schooling or you are residing. It is not compulsory. If you want to have it as part of your curriculum, you are free. But what we are trying to say is that we need the government to drive a policy that people speak or learn the indigenous languages in schools. So if you are going to school and you have there is Igbo as a curriculum, there is Hausa, there is Yoruba, everybody should be made to learn those languages so that when we are driving policies that affect us as a common people, we can also interact in our languages. And also we call for advocacy. We ask that this resolution from this meeting should encourage greater advocacy to support the need to the importance of our indigenous languages in order for us to be able to use it to communicate and to drive policy making in Nigeria. And secondly, we have a member from the House of Representatives on our table, and we said it's an important thing that we have a member of the House here to also place a bill wherefore members of the House or the Senate and the Rep can present their bill on their indigenous language, which will be interpreted on a tele-interpreter placed on every table. So you can press this, whatever he is presenting as a bill, to interpret that, whatever he is saying in his language, either in English for you to understand, or even in your own dialect. So because we have gone so digital, there's AI. AI interprets every languages that you want to speak. They give you the interpretation. So we agree that advocacy is very important. If we need to push this, we need to ensure that there is a resolution after this summit that will reach to the policymakers or the lawmakers in the National Assembly to help move this forward. And finally, we also looked at the issue of Wazobia, because we know there was a time Nigeria wanted to drive this agenda by making Nigeria become more indigenous of themselves. So somebody came up with the idea of Wazobia. Wa, Yoruba, Zo, Hausa, Bia, Igbo, which would have, if we started over, I think this is about 40 or 50 years ago. If we started when this agenda came, probably every young man of my age now will be able to speak the 3 major languages. For example, I from Igbo, I schooled in Lagos, I speak Yoruba and I write Yoruba. Probably if I spent few years in the north, I would have been speaking a lot of Hausas. There's a couple of our people who speak the 3 languages. So if we do a sample, we find, even in this hall now, if we do a sample, we'll find somebody who speaks both Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, and speaks it fluently. So, but can we encourage it to become a national identity where everybody can be able to do that fluently? So I think that's the final, and the final one, sorry, is to create a community cluster, a community cluster of engagement within our community where people can meet and be discussing issues affecting them in languages that is identified to them, which is their indigenous language. So people can meet in their town hall, in town meetings, instead of speaking English, speak in your dialect, speak in your common language, and that will resonate well with your people than speaking in English. Some of them may not even understand your grammar or whatever. And so I think we want this summit to rise up here to be able to create this advocacy for the lawmakers in the House to come up with a policy paper that will enable every Nigerian to know how to speak the 3 common languages in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together. That was Mazi Godson Azu. Can we have, okay, I discovered that it's the moderators that are coming out to speak. Why? The group was supposed to pick someone, a presenter amongst them, not the moderators. Not the moderators. You left everything to the moderators. I did. I did over and over and over and over. I did over and over and over and over. Yeah, I said it. All right. Yeah, before we have the next speaker, we have an exhibition stand here. They are sponsors. Please, we would like you to visit, check them out, talk to them, patronize them, please. They are part of this whole organization, this whole arrangement. So please visit them. Let them have a sense of belonging as well. Thank you very much. Okay, can we have the next group come to speak to us on their recommendation? Can we have your group? Europe's relevance to Africa in a changing world. Oh, the moderator is also coming. Okay, you are the best woman for the job. No. Okay, no problem. At least you are part of the group still, so over to you.
Thank you so much. I actually didn't hear that, so I think, first of all, Ekaso, and I want to applaud Pastor Jerry and the Voice Magazine team for this amazing event, for these interesting conversations that we had. Let's put our hands together for the team. Thank you. So together with my group, we discussed Europe's role to Africa in a changing world. And I can admit, we slipped a little bit. We had many interesting conversations, but we also did talk about this. One thing that we agreed on is that Africa needs to tap in to the knowledge that and experience that Europe has shared with Africa, but to turn it into ours, turn it into African, and develop it. And that Europe and Africa should be partners. Rather than aid, we should work in partnership, right? Because when we work as partners, it will not only be more fruitful, it will also improve our self-image, the African self-image. Instead of receiving aid, we are partners, right? And that will give a better self-image to every African, I think. So we talk about win-win situations rather than receiving aid. We also talked about that Europe needs to move from the colonial strategy from before and instead see what does Africa has to offer. There are a lot of things like green energy, we talked about that, hydro, solar, digital space. So Europe bringing experience and knowledge that might be there because they may be ahead in some areas, right? But there are so many resources here, right? So again, the partnership. We talked a lot about the partnerships. Then we talked about rewriting the image. Because on media, still the same narrative is going on and on and on. A lot of images about poverty, right? And hardship. And that feeds the mind, the image of Africa. We don't want that because that's not true, right? Well, I'm not saying there are challenges, right? But there is so much more, and we need the world to know that. You agree with me? So rewriting the images to kill the prejudices that there are out there still. And then we talked about that we need to start with ourselves. That when each and every African is proud to be African, that's gonna spread. Just like on a personal, I'm into personal development, so when we as individuals are proud of ourselves, it will also leak to others, right? So Africa will be perceived differently when everybody is truly proud of being African. We talked about that. Start with yourself. Love your own country first, someone said in the group, right? Let's love our own countries first, be proud of our countries, be proud of being Nigerians, be proud of being Africans, and that changed the image. We also talked about that it starts from home and how we raise our children. And we talked about the importance. Now we were slipping a bit because now we're in Europe in the discussion, right? But I'm sharing what we talked about. So the youth is important to focus on the youth. And yeah, I think I'm going to rest it there. Is there anybody in my group that would like to add something I have missed? So summarizing it, win-win and partnership and changing image. Thank you. Eshe.
Thank you very much. Please, we would like to have those recommendations, please. We would like to have them. All right, I'm going to quickly call Benedicta Russell to quickly talk about the women empowerment, what they arrived at. Then the last would be Samantha Jacobs' group, talked about collaboration, practical collaboration between Dutch and African countries, please. Let's keep it simple, short.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying till the end. I want to first and foremost also want to thank Pastor Elvis for giving us this voice, for giving us this platform to come together as Women United. We had a great session on women empowerment, the African diaspora in dialogue with the Nigerian women. It was amazing. And they taught us so much about their local culture. We greeted each other in the local language. We understood that there are not only 3 tribes in Nigeria. We have learned several ways to greet each other. And we also spoke about the importance of storytelling, sharing your history with your children, with your environment, with your generation, and also celebrating women who have done great, to give them their flowers while they are still alive, and to document their stories. We were so inspired by the session, and we will continue this cultural exchange journey and teach more about the history, but focusing on the future. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much for keeping it short and simple. Please don't go away because we need to say thank you to everyone in our vote of thanks. We also will need to appreciate everyone that have come. So lastly, the last group is talking about practical collaboration between Dutch and African countries. So, okay, we also have Samantha Jacobs. She is the moderator and the speaker at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for staying and listening. So we had a really passionate group. We were talking about collaborations between Africa and the Dutch and in Europe in general. And how can we avoid brain drain but instead have brain gain? And again, it was a very passionate conversation. We actually did not want it to end. A lot of the people in our group had background in agriculture and farming. We have scientists, inventors, a lot of entrepreneurs, and also parents also who had children who've gone overseas to study. So some of the things that, in order to come up with the solutions, we first had to address what were some of the problems that people see that we're facing when we're having brain drain. And some of those were the costs that come with going overseas and even trying to return back home, the income disparity that you might experience. It's hard to return home back to Africa when you've been living in the UK and you're getting a London salary versus maybe what you experience here. So it's how to bridge that gap and to actually make it possible so that all the beautiful talent that we have that's going overseas is actually coming back here and benefiting us here on the home front. Perception was brought up, racism, capacity building. It was brought up that, it's very hard when you go overseas and you're dealing with a very big company or even a research institution, but you're a smaller organization. How do you maintain power? How do you maintain autonomy? So one of the things that we've been able to discern is when we talk about creating partnerships between the Dutch and African nations, or in general, when we're dealing internationally, it comes down to three things: shared purpose, shared power, and shared benefits. Sustainable collaborations must have knowledge flowing both ways, and from day one, we all need to be on the same page as far as what is the goal in this together. We should all be treated as partnerships, and the African nations or African partners should not be treated as subordinates or the subject. We should be, from day one, knowing what it is that we're both trying to accomplish with our business partner or with the research institution. But again, the knowledge should be flowing both ways, and the solutions should be come up both ways. So some of the ways in order to protect the brain, protect ourselves from brain drain and instead have brain gain is protecting our intellectual property. And some of that is coming from whether it's research or whether we're signing these business deals, that from the very day one that we're doing co-authorship, that we're actually getting credit for the ideas that we're bringing to the table, and that they're also giving us ideas too from across the pond, not only us providing solutions, but them also telling us their secrets and solutions. When they're doing interviews, whether it's media or doing white paper, our institutions and our businesses should also be listed on there as providing information. So we're not just giving our information away and our solutions away, but we're also benefiting from it, and the rest of the world knows that we're contributing equally as well. That's a big part of not feeling drained and not feeling exhausted and not feeling like our intellectual property and our intelligence is being lost. That way that we can actually bring it home to Africa and actually all benefit from it. Funding also came up. So a lot of us discussed the fact that some of it is that we need to look inwards and that we also need to have integrity in ourselves as a community. If we want the outside community to fund us, we should be putting money into ourselves as well. That will also help to protect our intellectual property, help to protect our businesses that are here that are maybe smaller than the larger corporations that we're collaborating with. Also, some of the suggestions we were also as far as technology, technological infrastructure, maybe taking advantage of the new software and new sciences that are out there, skills and training, academics, whether it's for farming, whether it's for science or other different fields, Although science and agriculture were some of the two main sectors we were thinking about when we talked about where brain drain is really, really happening from an African perspective. Also enabling circular economic, turning waste into energy, and also having long-term partnerships where we actually have MOUs, not just one-off deals, but actually lasting relationships that can actually build legacy and actually build real heirlooms and real inheritances for our families and for our communities. So a lot of it, what we discovered is just really having faith in ourselves and knowing what we are worth, and making sure that from day one, whether it's from an academic perspective or from a professional perspective, that we are demanding what we deserve and that we're getting things in writing and making sure that it's being fulfilled. Thank you.
All right, so are we having that paper? Or you can have your phone, because that's where you read from.
Yes, I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, can we have our editor of thevoice.com? Is he around? Mr. Henry, please, can we have you? Can we also have Pastor? Can we have Pastor as well? Pastor Elvis? All right, maybe Pastor will go first. Then we'll have the editor. All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone. What am I supposed to do now? Some minutes to 3. Mr. Henry Oduneyi, Mama Ifi, where is our gift for our speakers, our moderators for the session? So all the moderators too, Oya, come. Let's appreciate them. Can you put your hands together? They did a good job. They've made, some of you have not spoken for a while now. They've made you to talk. And we are going to take your recommendation further. And we pray that something positive comes out of it, that it is not just a talk. To them before they will give you one. You don't talk to them, they will not give you. So you have to visit them there. And then on the other right-hand side, there's some... are you guys still coming up here? Okay, they said they love the stage. Then you two have to come up then. How will they get... okay. Are you the one going to be giving them? Where are the other moderators? Let's give them a round of applause again. They did a wonderful job. Okay, then we do it one by one. Thank you. Thank you for wonderful work you did. We appreciate you. Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Okay, another one. Thank you. Oh, yeah, make una clap for them again now. At least that one, we know how to do that one. The clap not reach you. So that next year when I invite them to come, okay, I should look at the camera. And I should not talk. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to hand over to colleague, our managing editor, Mr. Oduneyi, to give the vote of thanks. And please, when we are leaving, all that is possible for you to take with you, take it with you. Don't forget anything, because they are coming to clean up the place, to prepare it. And please, for those who are coming for the award gala, it is 6 p.m. No any other time. We're not going to wait. By 5:45, the doors will be open. At exactly 6, our MC is already here, preparing. That's why she didn't show up. Doesn't want you guys to see her yet. So 6 o'clock we're going to start, because people have to travel back to their various destinations. We don't want to keep it late. Yeah? They say you should be here, red carpet, yellow carpet, green carpet. All the carpets are going to be here.
Thank you, Pastor, for this opportunity. It has been a robust engagement today. And I want to thank you all distinguished guests, the speakers, the moderators, panelists, fellow attendees, and every other person that has found himself or herself in our midst today. On behalf of the organizing committee for the Debunking Notions and Reshaping Mindsets event, it is my distinct pleasure to offer the vote of thanks. This gathering is all about the Netherlands' strategic policy for relating with Africans, and they have marked it between 2023 to 2032, which is a 10-year strategic plan. And it is meant to focus on the economic development, security, stability, and migration between the two continents, especially the Netherlands. It actually reorients development cooperation to align with national interests between Africa and Europe, emphasizing especially on sectors where the Dutch excel, sectors like water management, food security, health, and trade. A key goal is to strengthen mutual beneficial partnership driven by economic opportunities and a desire to manage migration and promote stability. But first and foremost, our profound gratitude goes to all of you here, our esteemed guests, who have and engaged in this wonderful conversation today. Your enthusiastic response and diverse expertise have truly enriched the discussion on equality in relationships between Europe and Africa. We extend our sincere thanks to our speakers for the insightful and thought-provoking contributions. First is our Ugandan filmmaker and storyteller, Sisi Nalumansi, who spoke about a foreigner's mindset via a video link. Those that were earlier here witnessed that. It was a fantastic presentation. We also extend our gratitude to the Dutch Michael Delen for his valuable contribution, especially sharing valuable perspectives on the Dutch African Strategy Plan, which is a Dutch government-owned plan on how to relate with us, Africans. We also extend our gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Eniola Ajayi, the immediate past ambassador, Nigerian ambassador to the Royal Kingdom of the Netherlands. She shared with us intercontinental business between Africa and Europe. Our gratitude also extends to the moderator of our panel discussion, Ms. Antonia Smith, and our distinguished panelists, including Dr. Honorable Kenneth Gwadi, Women Empowerment Center. Their facilitation of discussions on crucial topics like Europe's relevance to Africa and upgrading indigenous knowledge has been invaluable. We must also acknowledge the seamless flow of the day guided by our esteemed MC, Mr. John Odibo. Thank you very much for taking us through the whole period. This event wouldn't have been without the vision and dedication of my boss, Pastor Elvis Iru, and the entire organizing team of this event. We acknowledge you and we thank you. So finally, we wish to express our heartfelt appreciation to our sponsors. Through them and through their generous support, it has been a successful day. We hope that you leave this auditorium with a renewed perspectives and actionable ideas for fostering truly equal partnership between Europe and Africa. Thank you very much.
Well, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. Thank you very much. You have done so very well. Well, Pastor Elvis, are we good? All right, this is where we draw the curtain on this session of the Voice Achievers Award 2025. The business dialogue closes right about now. And the award gala will kick off by 6 o'clock. So we have like 3 hours of rest. We can take a stroll, we can go home and come back if we live close. Yeah, and so I want to thank everyone for staying this long. You are the true representative of Africa, the true representative of Nigeria, and the face of the Voice Achievers Award 2025. Thank you so very much. God bless you. Please, let's visit our sponsors, please. Let's visit the exhibition stand, please. You visited them. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll do that.